G'day whisky lovers, welcome to the Hard Malt channel. My name's Tim and I'm here again with another whisky review. Probably just in time on this one, as this one's been pretty well loved, and I reckon I've got just about enough to do this tasting and perhaps another pour after that. So what have I got here? So this is a Kilkerran 12-year-old single malt whisky from the Campbeltown region, and it's produced by the Glengyle distillery, who are the next door neighbours of Springbank distillery. In actual fact, they share their production team between the two distilleries, and Kilkerran sees roughly a 3 to 4 months production time out of each year. The rest of the time being devoted to Springbank's own brands. Springbank actually do the floor maltings for Glengyle and therefore Kilkerran, so you could probably expect some similar characters between Springbank and Kilkerran. Now, having said that they're only producing for 3 to 4 months out of each year, it's actually surprising that Kilkerran's product is generally more available than Springbank, and generally doesn't see any of the price hikes that sometimes the Springbank, well, the retailers put on Springbank. So that's surprising. So if you do happen to come across Kilkerran 12-year-old, the heavily peated batches, or 16 perhaps, and if you do your research and it's available for a good price, just take my advice and grab one. You won't regret it. So with that ado, let's get some of this into my nice Kilkerran glass, which I picked up from the Springbank distillery, or the Springbank shop rather, earlier this year. And I didn't do the Glengyle distillery tour, so I don't have any photos to share at the end of this video. However, I will share some photos from the Springbank distillery tour just as soon as I can get my hands on a bottle of Springbank, or perhaps at a later date when I open the Longrow 21-year-old up there in the cabinet. Now let's see what I've got here. It's very cereal led on the nose. Incredibly subtle peat. I go as far to say is if I had this in amongst a lineup of other whiskies, I probably, and this wasn't the first one, then I probably wouldn't detect the peat on this one if it was say the third whiskey in a lineup. But yeah, it's definitely there. It's just very, very subtle. There's a bit of slight lanolin, farminess, very subtle. You could almost call that a bit of the Campbeltown funk. However, it's very mellow and smooth in this particular Kilkerran release. There's some citrus and a little bit of darker fruits coming from the sherry in the mix. While I'm on that, this is actually produced from 70% ex-bourbon casks and 30% ex-sherry casks. So that's where your darker fruit is coming from. This has a lovely, rich, creamy sort of aroma. And it's very difficult to resist having a sip, so here we go. Incredibly smooth. It's got It's got that rich creaminess. I'd almost say a little, when I say a little dirtiness, that's probably the funk coming through. Though it's at a level that you could happily offer this to somebody who's still reasonably new to whiskey, and it wouldn't scare them at all. It's really well-rounded, I should say, with the ex-bourbon characteristics and a little bit of the ex-sherry. So it's definitely no sherry bomb. It's just a real well-balanced, authentic style whiskey. To really sum it up, I'd say, is when you're thinking about what is a proper single malt Scotch whiskey, that's what you want to think of. Second sip, I get a little bit more of the ex-sherry on the front. Yeah, it just develops with really nice, rich, slight farmy notes. So smooth on the palate, smooth on the way down, and just it's viscous. It's not super thick or super rich, but it's not thin at all. And we owe that to, as it says on the back of the bottle here, it's not chill filtered and no added colour, and it's bottled at 46%. Thank you very much, Glengyle. So a little bit more about the distillery itself. So when J&A Mitchell Group resurrected Glengyle Distillery right next door to Springbank, they found that they weren't able to call their liquid Glengyle single malt because that name is actually, well, the Glengyle name is trademarked for a blended, for use as a blended malt label. I don't know the specifics of who owns the trademark or if it's actually being used. To the best of my knowledge, I haven't seen it around, so I'm not sure if it's actually in use. However, the owners, they decided, well, we'll pick a different name. And aptly, they've come up with Kilkerran, which, as it says on the back of the label, is actually Scottish Gaelic for Kinloch Kilkerran, which is the official name of Campbeltown in Scottish Gaelic. So I couldn't think of a better name for this. You think of a properly made single malt Scotch whisky from the town of Campbeltown, Kilkerran. Wonderful. Just delicious stuff. Now, as I noted earlier, this is a very well loved bottle. This is the one I brought back with me from my trip, and there's probably another pour or so in here, but once it's gone, would I replace it? Absolutely, without doubt. As soon as I notice somebody offering these at a proper price, I will snap one up, or maybe two for the cabinet. It's just, this is one I always want to keep in the cabinet, because this is just it's a bit of a standout in the single malt range. And if you want to show somebody what a Campbeltown malt can be without scaring them away with something really funky from Springbank, you want to give them this. I've shared this with many people, both experienced whiskey drinkers and those relatively new to whiskey, and everybody loves it. At the time when I picked this one up, I did try the 16-year-old, and that was really lovely as well. However, at the time, my pick was actually this 12-year-old. I just felt that it gives you more of the spirit character, and it's just really well balanced. So on that note, I'll wrap up this review and I'll see you in the next one. Slán Drva.